If you thought this video was about people not wanting to pay their debt, well, I guess you would be right. And let the madness begin.
If you're in a similar situation, I'm 23 years old and I'm in $300,000 of debt. And no, I don't plan to pay it.
$300,000 at 23. There's no way that this isn't student loan debt. And even if it is student loan debt, oh my. And why do y'all be eating while recording these sort of videos? Never mind.
It used to really bother me, but I'm done letting it bother me. And before anybody says I'm lazy or to get a job, I have a job. I work 40 hours a week.
Okay.
Not to mention I work in healthcare, so I'm also saving lives. If a debt collector calls me, they're getting blocked.
Oh.
Because seriously, why would you give that much money to a 23-year-old? It's not my fault. I am literally just a girl.
I'm tired of y'all saying I'm just a girl as a cop-out for doing stuff and saying, and like, essentially, it's like saying, hey, anytime that I need to be held accountable and held responsible for my actions, I'm just a girl. Can we stop? And can we stop it this year, 2025? Wrap it up. I'm tired of it. And I'm glad she's educated and you got your degrees, and I'm glad. And in an industry that helps people. But y'all, we got to stop with all this like mindless, oh, I'm just a girl, so what was I to do? Woe is us. Woe is women. I'm tired of that. I think it discredits a lot of women who actually think about stuff.
I am literally just a girl. I'm making this video to help other people in debt feel less alone. It can be really depressing and it can really ruin your life, but it doesn't have to. Money isn't real, and it never has been. I don't believe I should pay it back because, well, look at the state of the world right now. If you're in a similar situation, I want you to know that you're not alone. And just because you're in debt doesn't mean your life has to stop. The debt is all in your mind. That's what I'm telling myself, at least. Bye.
But when people start saying stuff like, the debt isn't real, then why is it on the credits? Why is it on your credit history? Why do we see all of your bad payments reflecting on your credit report? Because debt is definitely real. People are swimming in it. They cry about it. Some people cry themselves to sleep about it. It's no joke. It can get really scary. And I don't say that to be funny. I say that because that is actually how a lot of people feel about their debt. They are literally like, even thinking about their debt makes them want to cry. They can't sleep at night. They can't breathe without feeling like, oh my gosh, the next bill is due. I'm so behind. I'm swimming in debt. I don't know where this money is going to come from. That sort of worry, it really does a lot to people. So no, it's not just not real. It's actually quite the opposite. It's so real that when it gets too bad for you, you might break down. Like we've seen people do it. They'll break down over how much debt they're in because debt is affecting their lives. And when you have a bunch of debt, you have to clock into work even more to pay off the debt that you already probably have because you don't know where the money is going to come from. So now you got to go work overtime. Now you got to go get a side hustle. You have to do whatever you can to get out of debt because honestly, you only got a few options. You can ignore it and then it keeps racking up interest every month. And we don't want that. Or you can quite literally get it out the mud. But what I'm saying is none of the options will be easy. All of it comes with a little bit of pain. I even hear a lot of people say, oh, the people who filed bankruptcy, they have it easy. They just got to write everything off and then they don't have to be responsible. It's like, no, those have long-lasting effects too, up to 7 years. That also can come with bad credit, not being able to be lent money, having to worry about, hey, do I need to renew my lease? Hope I don't need to get another car in the next 7 years. You better hope everything was squared away before anything like that happens, or else you might need a cosigner. That is how it goes in real life for a lot of people. And I say that as somebody who knows people who have filed bankruptcy. It is crippling. And I'm talking about bankruptcy because I know a lot of people like to give people a hard time for bankruptcy. But there's a lot of lead up to events when it comes to bankruptcy. And I probably just named them all. The busting your butt, doing all the extra stuff, working the overtime, consolidating the loans, probably even went through a phase of just straight up ignoring them, getting phone calls, getting sued by creditors. And you can only put your head in the sand for so long until you actually say, dang, I have to file bankruptcy. I have seen this happen to people in real life. So please don't say, and I know TikTok is the land of the unpredictable, and it's like, that's no man's land over there. Anything goes on TikTok, anybody can say anything crazy. But in real life, when we turn these cameras off and people have to actually go back to their real lives, debt is not fun and it's not a game and it's not something to be taken lightly. And then it says here, it doesn't help that I live in the most expensive city ever. and happens to be Seattle, I guess. And then thank you. Somebody said exactly what I was thinking. It's not my fault. I'm just a girl. Gross. And I wouldn't even say gross. It's just like, can we stop? Just stop. I don't want to hear it at all as a cop-out excuse. And to be fair, I can understand why a lot of people are like, I don't know why you would give that sort of amount of money to somebody in their early 20s. I need the people who are in the 18 to 25-year-old range to understand this. The more that you can be sucked into debt at a younger age, the better a lot of these companies and organizations are going to benefit off of you, because now you are going to need to clock into work in order to pay these loans back. This is how you get stuck in the rat race. And I say this as a cautionary tale. Y'all are the people that they want to have in debt, because y'all are the youngest. Y'all have the most energy. You have the most strength and all of that. Your body's not quite yet broke down yet, like a lot of us in our 30s and the people in their 40s and 50s. And don't let me keep going. If they can keep y'all on a hamster wheel, that would be more beneficial for business, don't you think? And you don't have to agree with what I'm saying. Just think about it. Who would be the best people to keep on a hamster wheel? And what age would you like to get them on the hamster wheel? Would it be in their 30s, 40s, 50s? And I'm no conspiracy theorist. And I'm so glad that I'm not the only one saying something about this "I'm just a girl" comment and equating it to not being responsible, when that essentially is like saying, oh, men are the only ones responsible with money. Lies. There are men that are just as irresponsible with money, sometimes more than some women. But when we start assigning things to the gender and saying, oh, I'm just a girl, like, oh, we're just all dumb as a box of rocks, you're doing us a disservice. I might even go as far as to consider you an op for our progress as a whole, because why would you be grouping us all together like that with something so silly? I'm going to say it here today. When y'all say I'm just a girl, start saying it with something good. Start doing something really good and really financially responsible, and then say, I'm just a girl. Can y'all do that? I just invested into my 401k. I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. Paid off my student loans. I'm just a girl. I paid off my car loan. I'm just a girl. Can y'all do that? Not all this. I had to max out my credit card every month. I just had to. Sephora was just calling me. They had a sale. I'm just a girl. Amazon. Oh, but I'm just a girl. I'm so helpless. I need somebody to come save me from myself. Ooh. And then have the nerve to be doing all that with the slow bite to the sandwich.
I think it's funny for me how so many people, so many students are worried about paying off their student loans, worried about debt and all this stuff. Well, for me, I really don't care. For me, it's just something that just is in the back of my mind that I have more important things to worry about.
Did somebody say boy math? Did somebody just say, I'm just a boy? Can y'all see how silly that would sound?
I have more important things to worry about than student loans. I remember this one conversation I had with my professor. He was saying that like he would spend 2 to 3 years in his fiance's parents' basement just to pay off some of his student loans, right? And to me, it's like, why? You know, like I understand you want to pay off your student loans as fast as you can and all that stuff. But for me, like, who says you wouldn't die in those 2 to 3 years, right? Like, who says you won't get in that car accident, who a plane crash, or like anything bad happened to you to those 2 to 3 years, wasting your life trying to pay off something that really doesn't matter at the end. Like, I have a lot of student loan debt, but to me, I really don't care, because what matters most to me is living life through school, living life with my friends, my family, and all that stuff. That's what's more important to me, not staying in someone else's basement or staying in my mom's basement just so I can pay off student loans and just live in this shelter for 2 to 3 years out of my life. And to me, that's not what living is supposed to be. If that's what you want, then go ahead. But for me, I don't care. I don't care about student loans. I can pay that stuff for the rest of my life. I could not care. I care about living life as best as I can. You guys can call me crazy, but what do you guys think?
What I think is a lot of y'all like to bring up the worst case possible scenario, and Lord forbid any of that ever happened to any of you. But the way that a lot of people are just like, well, I could just not be here tomorrow. I'm going to give up the ghost. And yet, day after day, month after month, year after year, here y'all are still alive. You see how that works? And I'm not saying that things can't be unpredictable in life, because they absolutely can. But why is it whenever we're talking about being responsible, we always have these conversations of, oh, this might happen? Let's start talking about what is the most likely situation for your life. And I actually agree to an extent with what he said. He doesn't have to care about debt. But here's the thing. Whether you care about debt and you actually pay the debt, that's two different things. A lot of people don't care about a lot of things, but they do what they need to do out of obligation. Because there's a difference between your feelings and what needs to be done. And that's what I want to point out here. He says, I don't care about debt. A lot of times people will act on how they feel. For example, you don't care about debt. Perfectly fine. But are you going to pay it? How you feel and what you need to do is two different things. When I had a car note, I didn't like to pay my car note. But guess what? That was my feelings about my car note. What did I do every month? I still paid my car note, because if I don't pay my car note, I'm actually going to have real life consequences. So perfectly fine. You do whatever you can handle in real life, and you sometimes have to face the consequences. Now, and I'm pointing that out because it says here, I don't care about my student loans. And then it says, edit, I didn't say I'm not going to pay student loans. I'm saying I'm not going to sacrifice so much of my time to pay off loans. I'd rather pay something for the rest of my life than sacrifice a certain amount of time to pay off a bill that really doesn't mean anything. And to each their own. Now, with that same logic and what we know as public information about student loans, depending on how much student loans you have, we've seen student loans for a lot of people go from what they originally took out, say they took out $46,000, and somehow, some way they ended up owing $300,000 at the end of all of it, making minimum payments. And then we have things that are coming into effect now where people are being forced to pay more than what they were paying before. And guess what? They're not looking at that low amount that you originally borrowed. They're looking at how much you have on the entirety of the loan. And now your monthly payment is going to be based off of that. Some of those minimum payments are ridiculous. And a lot of people had that same mentality, like, oh, I'm in no rush to get rid of it. It's fine. It'll be there. I'll just make the minimum payments for the rest of my life. Again, I'm not saying that I think it's right that these sort of interest and things like that compounded on these loans, but I am saying that some of the mentalities that led up to this, it'll be fine, I'll just get to it when I can, doesn't always work out well for people in real life. There are a lot of people that are struggling with their student loans, and about to be if they're not already, that have very similar mindsets. Somebody said, how do I get mine erased? I'm tired of looking at this number. And if you look underneath, somebody said, wait until you give up the ghost, file for bankruptcy, stop living above your means, or liquidate your assets and start paying off your debts. And honestly, yeah. Only thing I didn't see on the list was work overtime or get a side hustle or increase your income, because I think we make this a lot harder than it needs to be. There's only a few ways out of this. And again, when it comes to student loans, you can't just file that under bankruptcy. Now, if we're talking about other debt, I done seen people do a lot.
Any other millennial just decided that they're not paying off their debt, that there's just no point?
No.
They're not paying off the student loans. They're not addressing the medical bills. You're not addressing the credit card debt. You don't give a fuck about debt to income ratio. You're just deciding that you're not going to do. I don't want a $600 to $700, $800, $900 car note. I don't. I have a 2013 Kia. It's paid for. I don't want that car note. I have decided that I do not need to use my credit. If I can't buy it cash, I don't need to dip into this realm of basically saying you can't afford it, so use your credit until you're able to pay it off. I don't want to live an aesthetically pleasing lifestyle. If that's you, that's you. Hustle culture has taken up a majority of my life, and I don't want any part of it anymore. Chasing the next dollar, I do not want to do. Trying to pay off my debt, credit utilization tools, FICO score, I don't want any part. And I just decided that, like, even when my kids get old enough to move out, I'm like, I'm just going to downsize. I might live out of a car. Like, I don't even care at this point. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Mine is behind me. Mine is pretty much behind me. And I'm just at the point where I'm like, you know what? I don't want to participate anymore. I don't want to participate in whatever this is. I'm only going to put into the economy what I benefit out of it, which are necessities. And if it's not a necessity, I do not want any parts of it. I don't need it. And I'm sure not going to use credit to get it, because credit's just another way of saying you can't afford it. You're basically living out of your means right now. And that's why you're using your credit until you're able to pay it off. You're using your credit because you don't have the cash right now. And if you did have it, you wouldn't use credit. I don't want it. The debt, I'm over it.
Honestly, she had a lot of great points, but I wanted to talk about that last part where she said, if you had the money, essentially, you wouldn't be using a credit card. And a lot of people have the money and they're just using the credit card. And as soon as their billing cycle is up, they pay off the credit card in full that same month. This is something I do. Haven't used my debit card in years. And there's nothing wrong with doing it that way as long as you're responsible about how you're using your credit cards. But the problem is a lot of people aren't responsible about how they're using their credit cards. And they're using it exactly like how she described. So I'll be honest about that. She's not wrong. They're going and getting the things that they can't afford right now. They actually don't have the money on hand in their checking account to pay for those things with the credit card. And they're just letting it sit and accrue interest. And there are other people who are using credit cards for points, just using it to build up points, knowing they're going to pay it off at the end of the cycle. And they're getting their benefits, building up their credit, and only spending what's actually in their checking account to pay off the credit card. So you don't just spend money you don't have. You use the credit card in a way where it actually benefits you. And you're not the type of person that the credit card companies like to see coming. They want to see the person that's about to go put on there a trip that they can't afford. Someone that wants to go shopping with the credit card knowing that they can't afford the clothes. That's the person that they want to use the credit card because they make money off of the business of people not paying their stuff in full every month and them getting the interest charges off of you. They're really no different than Klarna, Zelle, Zip, Afterpay, Affirm, all of them buy now, pay later services that collect some sort of fee or interest off of the fact that you don't pay your stuff off in full. It's honestly a tale as old as time. The longer you can owe them money, the more they can charge you in interest. Same could even be said about houses. Same could even be said about student loans. Anything with interest attached. Don't you notice that there is a pattern of people who have these high balances saying, I'm struggling to pay it off. Why do y'all think that is? It's because of the interest usually. It's the interest, not what you originally borrowed, that's eating you up. But she had a lot of great points, especially about how she doesn't want to participate in this like living above her means, keeping up with the Joneses sort of lifestyle. I think that that's admirable. I think it's a smart thing to downsize your home if you don't need all that house and it's costing you more money to maintain it after your children left. Why not? I'm with her on not having the car note. I don't have a car note and I don't want another one because those are just things that you got to throw more money at every month in another bill. Who wants more bills? But I'm not sure about the, hey, does anybody else just, not want to pay their debt or not really worried about the debt? Because I honestly think that's where a lot of people are going to feel the most free. So I hope she gets to that point. I hope all of them get to that point, honestly.
As many Americans have student debt, what if we just continue to go to school? Right? What if we just continue to go to school and never paid it back? Like, what if I just continue to get degrees? Like, what if I go get a degree in aerology? What if I go get a degree in foodology? Like, because then I won't have to pay the loans back, right? And then I have all these degrees. I think I might do it. I might do a social experiment. I might just get a bunch of associate degrees and just keep going to school because why not? And then whenever I'm old, I'll just die. I know it might go to the kids, but hopefully maybe ChatGPT figure something out by then. What if we just keep going to school and we just never pay these loans back? Like we just keep just getting degrees. Because you're in school, you don't have to pay it back. I need somebody to try this out. I might try it out. We need to figure this out.
And sir, they already tried it. And here's the thing with that. When the whole thing went down with the student loans and everybody was like, I'm not paying them student loans back. They gonna have to get it back in blood. Y'all remember that? There was a lot of people saying, I'm just gonna become a doctor. Well, then they ended up capping student loans. Some people were already capped out and maxed out in the first place from all the grants they done took. So at some point, it seems like it might put you in a bad situation, especially if you was just trying your best to not pay them back. And I have nothing against higher education or getting more education if that's really what you want to do. But I'm saying just to game the system, I'm not even sure if it will work with these caps on student loans anymore. Because what he said was the game plan for a lot of people just to keep going back to school. And I also said, hey, if that's what y'all's plan is, why are y'all on the internet saying that's what y'all were going to do in the first place? Because you telling the secret. I'm just saying, if I had a master plan of I'm scheming, I'm not going to get on here and tell millions of people in 4K that I'm about to find a way, but I digress. And you know what? I honestly just think would have been a little bit easier than trying to figure out how to game the system is just trying to find out, hey, what can I give you to get you off my back? Because clearly y'all ain't letting up. They garnishing wages for student loans, y'all. They're suing people for debts. they're not letting up on the American consumers right about now. So I just be like, how can I get them off me? How can I show you? Help me help you to leave me alone. I might not have much, but I got a little. That's what I'd say. Just so you know, I'm making an honest effort because I feel like that gotta be easier than all this plotting and scheming. And I need to talk to the credit card lady who know how to repair credit to get my student loans wiped. And so I ain't got to worry about it. At least I ain't got to see it. And then I'm actually try to get a house and all this stuff. But then my stuff done pop back up because I'm delinquent. It's a little much. It's a little much. And it just seems harder than just, hey, what's the payment plan looking like? What's the best payment plan I can get on? But I need to know what y'all think about this one. What do y'all think about people not wanting to pay back their consumer debt, their credit card debt? Do you think that this is just normal and like, hey, everybody should just be like, forget the debt? Or do you think that this is a very dangerous way of thinking? I'd love to hear what you think down below, but we have to start making better decisions today in order to have a better future.